How's it going, everybody? This podcast is brought to you by RYYZN Make Life Workout, a health, self-development and lifestyle platform building a passionate community of knowledge seekers, creative dreamers and future leaders.
For details on the latest RYYZN event that will feature expert speakers in the field of self-development and growth, check out www.ryz-workout.com.
That's www.ryz-workout.com. Enjoy the show. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the High Frequency Club podcast. My name is Marwan Salario.
My name's Sinead Behrman. We're here to talk about all things self-development, growth and mindset.
Woo! Another episode with just us. How you going? Let's say, how's your day? How you feeling?
Pretty good. My day's been pretty chill thus far. Watched a bit of the Olympics this morning as I was getting organised. Yeah, I think the one thing that blows my mind with the Olympics is that, like, I was watching the swimming this morning, and there was a semi-final on for the 200 metre medley, and there was literally the top 7 out of 8 all got the same time. Like, they were just milliseconds that divided them up, which meant obviously some were going to make the final and others were not. And yet, meanwhile, last night I watched the weightlifting, and the girl who won gold, she pretty much knew she would win gold before they even started, because her starting attempt weight was already 15, 20 kilos heavier than the rest of the girls. So she kind of already knew she was going to get gold before it started. So that just kind of blows my mind that some events and sports, it can be quite a clear winner from the get-go, and then others it's, milliseconds that's dividing the first to the last person. Yeah,
I assume when you get to that, like, super elite level, it's like that 1% makes a huge difference, or they split between milliseconds and shit like that. Speaking of Olympics, the Philippines won their first ever gold yesterday.
Yeah.
Hildia. I completely butchered that name. Give me 1 second. But yeah, the first ever.
Was that their first? That wasn't their first medal, or was it their first?
No, not their first medal. First ever gold.
Oh, first gold one.
Yeah. In like 97 years or something like that. Yeah. I need to be fact checked on this.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy. And it was a woman who was under 55 kgs, and her overall lift, the amount that she lifted was like over 200 kgs.
Yeah.
How cool, eh?
Yeah, it is crazy watching the weightlifting and seeing, and how easy they make it look when they're lifting, double their body weight or...
Yeah. For me, I love seeing the emotions, because you can just see that. Because this wasn't her first rodeo in the Olympics. She'd been there before. I think she's been 4 times, and she's got a silver before, not placed before. And you just see her celebrating with her coaches. It's just like, you can almost see the narrative in her head as of like, all of that for this, finally.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that feels like.
Yeah. It was interesting seeing how all the different athletes do respond after maybe like a failed attempt or versus a successful attempt, and how their coaches react as well. I thought that was interesting to watch, and even some of them beforehand, how their coaches hype them up. I think it was Ecuador. He would like slap her leg, slap her like tummy, and then slap her face as she walked out. And I was like, whoa, that is quite intense. Some of the others were just sort of like, yeah, off you go. But yeah, this one was like slap her leg, slap her trunk, slap her face. You see
sometimes in the UFC, before the fighter goes up into the octagon, they slap the fighter's face. I assume it's just to bring awareness.
Yeah,
right?
Make sure they're awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Cool. So what we're up to today is that we've got this game by a very well-known Instagram page and company called We're Not Really Strangers. And they post a lot of content to help people build connection. And they've brought out a card game that helps people build physical connection, because most of their stuff's just online, right? It builds digital human connection. I bought this game ages ago. I bought it because, one, I like these types of conversations, and sometimes it's a good game to play when you're in that environment, when you've got a group of friends around maybe. But I've had it for so long and I've never even opened it. This is the first time. So though we're going to answer some of these questions with me and Sinead, we're not going to play the full-fledged game because there's rules. Instead, today we're just going to pick up cards from each levels. Each level, there's 1, 2, and 3 have different objectives.
So level 1 is perception. Do you know how others see you? Level 1 is about gaining perspective on what first impressions we give off and challenging the assumptions we make about others. Level 2 is about connection. Who are you really? This round is about asking the rarely asked questions and connecting on a deeper level. And level 3 is about reflection. Time to reflect on your game experience.
So when we get to level 3, let's just reflect on our overall experience.
Yeah.
Well, we can reflect on the game that we've somewhat played. Anyway, I reckon let's just head straight into it. Let's start with level 1.
Okay.
You first. Oh, paper, scissors, rock, paper, scissors, rock. Paper, scissors, rock. Paper, scissors, rock. I went papers.
So I get to pick a card, and then I'm asking you?
Yeah, I think that's how it works, yeah. And if it comes to any of the practical stuff, like draw a picture, let's just skip that.
Do you think I fall in love easily? Why or why not?
Do I think that you fall in love easily? No. I think that you don't, because you keep to yourself, and keep to yourself in the sense of like, I guess you have walls up, right? You're independent in yourself, therefore you're okay. You don't need to fall in love in a sense like it's important to you, but yeah, it's not top priority. As in, you're not out there searching for it. And I think you don't. Sorry, what is it? You love easily. Why not? Is because you understandably have your defense walls up. You know, it takes time for you to let people in. Yeah, my turn.
Cool.
I don't think you're meant to answer either. I think, right? We're not meant to have a conversation about that. I think
it's all like you write them down, maybe.
Ah. Well, actually, you say what you think.
Okay.
Was that right, or how far?
Oh, well, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
No, agreed.
Oh, what was your first impression of me?
Too cool. Like, first interaction with you was, I remember just you walking out the staff room once at the gym, and you just sort of have your Conor McGregor swagger that you that you have less so now. But yeah, I just thought, I was like, oh, this guy thinks he's top shit. That was my first impression of you, because it was just off face value. I didn't have anything to do with you.
Okay, so if that was your first, okay, because that's the question. What was your first impression of me, and what do you think of me now, knowing me?
I know that it's more that you're very driven and ambitious, and you go after what you want. So it's more confidence than arrogance. Whereas I think initially I probably more thought you were potentially a little bit arrogant. But now I just know that you're confident because you know what you want and you know what you need to do. Yeah.
I think, because that's not the only time I've heard that. I think people think when they first do see me, they say, a lot of people say that. They're like, I think you're too cool, I think you're hot shit. Yeah. And then they get to know me and it's like, oh, actually, there's reason behind it.
Yeah.
And I'm not actually in my head walking around thinking I'm hot shit.
Yeah.
You know, I guess in a sense, I'm just confident.
Yeah.
I just know who I am, what I want, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it manifests in my body language. Cool, your turn again.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how messy do you think my car is? 1 being cleanest, 10 a complete disaster. Explain.
Well, first of all, you don't own a car. But if you did own a car, I think that your car would be tidy. Just because it would be a reflection of what your house looks like. And that's always tidy. And it's always got a place.
Yeah, yeah, correct. Yeah, cleanliness is next to godliness, as they say.
What do you think is the hardest part of what I do for a living? So first of all, tell people what I do for a living.
Oh, well, that's tricky because it's a bit of everything. PTing, acting, content creation. So the hardest thing about each of those things, I think the hardest part of PTing would be that you're constantly giving so much energy and having to be so present and focused on every client, especially if that's back to back, and that takes a lot of, I guess, emotional energy. Acting, hardest part, maybe, I guess, switching off from everything else so you can be again fully present and immerse yourself within your character. And content creation is, I guess, the hardest part of that would being creative. If you're having a day where you're just off and you're not feeling creative and you don't feel like you can create anything, that's going to be quite challenging when you feel the need to produce stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much bang on the money. Yeah, a lot of what I do, whether it's content creation, acting, and personal training, it all comes under one umbrella, which is communication. And it all takes a lot of emotional energy because there's one, I'm an emotional person, and two, I'm genuinely passionate about the things that I do. So it taxes me. And a lot of people can relate to that. And just to give some practical advice on what helps me really balance myself out is hard boundaries. You know, on Sundays, I like to spend time by myself. I must go out into nature. I have to take myself away from the normal routine of things. Otherwise, I start to feel really burnt out. And the things that I do normally am passionate and driven by, I can easily wake up and roll my eyes at if I don't take that break. And I know a lot of people can relate with that, especially the ones who are extremely passionate and driven in what they do. And that's just my 2 cents to help anyone in that. I think it's important for us to, when we talk about this, is talk about some practical steps, because these are things I'm sure that people can relate with. Did you just pick or did I just pick? Oh yeah, you just picked. It's your turn.
You picked, yeah. Wildcard. Think of your favourite childhood TV show of all time. On the count of 3, say it out loud, both players.
Ready? 3. On the count of 3.
Wait, can I think of it? I'm trying to struggle.
Come on, surely you guys have a show. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Dragon Ball Z. Come on.
I literally can't
Little
think of
Einsteins.
anything. Nah.
Porno Premium. You didn't watch that when you were a kid? Nah, neither.
Nah.
Nothing. You didn't watch TV when you were kids?
I did, but that's what I'm struggling to. There would be so many shows, but that's why I'm just.
Well, what's the first thing that comes out of your mind?
I'm genuinely struggling with that.
Okay, well, Dragon Ball Z was my favourite. They were my first ever idols of fitness. Goku.
Yeah.
He was like the first ever real OG bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I used to go into my room and pretend I was fucking Goku and be like, Krillin! Like, pretend I'd be shooting energy beams out of my hand.
Oh, bless.
I think that's me maybe acting.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I reckon, move on to round 2?
Yeah.
All right, let's get this show on the road, next level. What's round 2 again?
Connection.
Bum,
deeper, should be deeper questions.
Finish the sentences. Strangers would describe me as blank. Only I know that I am blank. Okay. So I'm going to read the sentence. You fill in the blank. Strangers would describe me as...
I think like standoffish.
Only I know that I am...
Actually quite friendly and a people person.
Great, cool. Don't people think, you think people are standoffish, huh?
I think I probably, I think a lot of people do, but I think I definitely struggle with the old resting bitch face. So I think, and that's something I'm very mindful of, particularly at the gym, that I probably can come across as unapproachable.
Yeah.
So I do my best to...
Yeah, it's tricky, especially with such people-facing jobs. Like, if you want to make sure that you're super conscious of that.
And I know you're, like, there's times as well, like, you can almost come across angry, and I know you're just concentrating. Like, I think it's just that face of when you are either thinking about something or you're focused, but it can come off as a bit like, ooh.
Yeah, it's funny.
They look angry or grumpy or...
I've had that in meetings, like a meeting had finished and the leader of the meeting would come over and be like, yeah, I've had to talk to the other person because they thought you were angry at them, but I know that's just your listening face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because my face is, I am lasering.
Yeah.
Because I'm the type of person that my attention span in 10 seconds will go.
Yeah.
I'll start thinking about dinner, you know? And I'm like, fuck, if I miss this, because I've had meetings before, like, what do you think of that, Mao? And I'm like, and I was like, I was actually thinking about what I had for breakfast, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn. Keep these separate piles.
Yeah. If you could have it your way, who would you be with, where would you be, and what would you be doing?
If I had it, might I say that again?
If you could have it your way, who would you be with, where would you be, and what would you be doing?
I would want to be, well, first of all, no COVID-19, everything is good. I would want to be in America in this high-rise apartment overlooking Central Park with my family.
Nice.
And that's because I am actually manifesting that in my cold showers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very clear to me. Just to be able in a high-rise apartment overlooking Central Park, looking at like the skyscraper, like the skyline of, that's New York City. And then looking to my left, and I see my parents. Looking to my right, I see my siblings. And I'm like, whoa, we're doing what we used to dream of now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I want to be.
Nice.
Yeah. My turn. Reminder, be more interested in understanding others than being understood. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that you always have more to learn from others if you're open to that. Whereas if you're coming in with a closed mindset of you're wanting everyone to hear your story or take your perspective, then you're missing out on potentially gaining new perspective or a different perspective on a situation. Yeah.
I think the perspective of openness relates to this quote here, and putting aside your ego.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Is there a feeling you miss?
Oh, great question. Is there a feeling I miss? No, there isn't a feeling that I miss, because in order for me to miss it, that means I must have had it before. Okay, no, actually, yes. I miss travel.
Yeah, I was going to say travel's definitely something
I'm missing travel. Yeah. Because I was thinking travel as an overseas. I've never been overseas before.
Yeah.
I've only been New Zealand and Philippines. But even like, I miss Queenstown.
Yeah.
I'm going to Queenstown soon, and I'm missing that. Yeah. And I can't wait for it.
I think for me,
I'm excited for it. You know.
Yeah. But I think I miss the freedom to travel. I think it's the fact that we can't right now. We can't travel when we want or where we want to. So, anyway, next.
When you're asked how are you, how often do you answer truthfully? Oh.
Very rarely, probably. I think we touched on this the other day, how so often in passing people can just be like, hey, how are you? And you're like, yeah, good, thanks. You? And they're like, yep, good. I think I try, and if I don't have time to hear more than good, then I won't ask it. If it's just in passing at the gym and you're like, hey, how are you? I'll try and not say that unless I actually have time to stop and listen to that person say, oh, you know, actually, like, this has been going on, or that's been going on, this has happened, that's happened. Like, if I don't have that 5 minutes to actually listen to how someone's actually feeling, then I'm not going to bother asking it, just assuming that they'll say, yeah, good, you, yeah, good, moving on. So, and I know that I'm someone that, I think I will judge that as well. I can kind of judge if someone's just asking me that, like on surface level of like, hey, how are you? Yeah, good, versus if someone actually does have the time to be like, oh, hey, how's things with you? Like, what's been happening? Then I'd be like, oh, well, X, Y, Z, and maybe go a bit deeper. But I think I kind of vibe off, if it's in passing or if someone actually has the time to. I
saw this post by Isaac John, this dude that I follow, and he said, busy is what adults say to use as social currency, you know, to prove our worth as an adult. That, oh yeah, we're busy, when we don't even, it's a mindless thing to say. I'm actually, for myself, I'm trying to be more aware of when someone does ask me, how are you? To check in with myself and ask myself, how am I feeling today? Because more than often, I'll say busy. And I used to remember saying tired, and then the conversation would finish and I'd be like, I'm not tired though. You know? Yeah, it's an interesting complex. What the subtext behind saying we're busy and tired, or saying things that are mindless. I'm saying that the times I've said busy, I've said, oh yeah, busy, but then I've been like, oh, I'm not really busy. Like, I've still done what I need to get done today, or I've still, you know, been able to do things that fill my cup. So I'm like, I'm not really that busy. Or I'm saying tired, but then I think, oh, if I'm telling myself I'm tired, then I'm going to be in more of a like meh kind of mood towards things. So I think part of sometimes replying saying, yeah, good, yeah, great, especially if it's at the gym before class, is like to try and get me in that zone as well. If I'm feeling a bit flat or off, if I then communicate, yeah, I'm feeling flat or I'm feeling off, then I am going to, so for me, it's more of a mindset shift. If I'm at the gym and someone's like, how are you? I'm like, yeah, epic, fabulous, amazing, to get me
into that higher energy before I teach and things like that.
I want to challenge myself to actually check in, because I think, how are you? Busy, tired. It goes with the flow of the status quo, or like the flow of normality. We've got a colleague, Alan, because he always checks in and says, how are you? And one day I told him, I was like, I'm going to start saying happy if I'm happy, and he always tries to call me out on it.
Yeah.
But it helps me break that pattern, break that flow, and I actually ask myself, how am I feeling?
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course, yes, sometimes it's tough when you're just in passing. Good.
Yeah.
It's just easier.
Yeah.
Anyway, onwards.
What question are you trying to answer most in your life right now?
Oh, great question. What am I trying to answer? Right now, it's all in business. I'm trying to figure out how to create a solid lifetime value for RYYZN. I think it's great that there is these new, like the events that are popping up. But how many times does someone need to hear about time management? How many times does someone need to hear about self-leadership? Of course, different speakers will bring out different parts of that, but that would mean that I would need to get new people always coming in. So how can I give value to the people who have already are in, you know? And I'm just trying to figure that out for myself, and I'm talking to other business owners and just seeing their insights. It's fun. This is another level of creativity, that I'm flexing. But yeah, that's what's taking up rent in my head. Do you think the image you have of yourself matches the image people see you as?
Probably not.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of.
What do you think people see you as? Because often, I think this is a very relatable question for people. There is the character. The Japanese used to say you have 3 masks: the character that your friends see, the character that your friends in the world see, the friends. Sorry, let me start again. 3 masks. One mask is what the world sees. The second mask is what your close friends and family sees, and the last mask is the mask that only you see.
Yeah, I think. Well, I guess image, does that just mean from what people see of you from face value?
It's however you interpret it. There's no other fine print on here. So whatever image that comes into your head.
Yeah, I guess people probably see me as, very driven and focused and kind of always in control, but I guess I don't always feel like that. So.
And what do you do to help you feel more in control when you are in those times? What grounds you?
I guess it's just spending time with friends and doing the things that fill my cup, getting out in nature. But I guess day to day is just more setting myself like, this is what you need to get done today, and just trying to get through one day at a time.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were saying routine gives our brains a sense of certainty, and we need certainty because the brain is a predicting machine. It's meant to keep data for survival, right? And sometimes when things are uncertain, life can get very uncertain. Give your brains a sense of routine, give your body a sense of routine, and it'll ground you again.
Yeah, I agree
Make
with
certainty of around the uncertainty.
that.
Yeah. Cool. And also at the end of the day, no one will know you better than you.
Yeah.
And I think that's another big thing about like judgment. I tell my clients this because sometimes they'll receive messages and be like, blah, blah, you overtrain, blah, 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 blah. And I remind them, like, remember, these people are just seeing small dots, small specks of dust of what your entire life is.
Yeah.
They have picked one moment, whether that's the picture that you've posted up, and they've completely judged your entire character off that one picture. Create a whole new story. But at the end of the day, only you know your true story.
Yeah.
You have lived X amount of years that brought you to what they're judging you on.
Yeah.
So they know a very, very small amount.
Yeah.
You know, just put that, you know, and remind them to put that into perspective.
Yeah.
Because anyone can judge anyone.
Yeah.
You know? But if you truly know yourself and you're fully comfortable and the experiences and memories and your own stories.
Yeah. Especially using that example of something like overtraining. I guess if someone, again, it's also individual. Like if you're someone that you just train once a day, 5 times a week, and therefore you see that as normal, and then someone that's training twice a day, 5 days a week, and therefore doing 10 sessions a week, you're like, oh my God, that's crazy, they're overtraining. But you don't know if that person that's doing 10 sessions a week previously was doing 25 sessions a week.
100%,
so actually,
you don't know the story.
They've cut back and they're actually not overtraining what they were. And again, we're all going to have different capacities and different tolerances to that. So that's why I guess, like you said, you never know the full picture or the full story. So
yeah. And another good example is that I might have a bank of training pictures.
Yeah.
And I might not train
does.
for 2 weeks. I might not train for 2 weeks, but I put a picture up every single day. People are like, oh, he trains every day.
Yeah.
It's like, no. I put up a training picture every day.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I trained every day.
Same.
You know, it's just this. There's a good utility in being able to objectively think.
Yeah, I think there'd be a lot of influencers or bloggers out there. Same, it might be a food blog, and therefore to keep their aesthetics of their food gram, they've got to be posting whatever, even though they might have had Macca's for dinner, but they don't want to post that, so they post a throwback of whatever.
And my other thing is like people are like, oh, social media is so fake. They're always posting up training photos, or they're always posting up food pics. They don't even eat out every day. It's like, of course. What do you mean? Of course it's not real. It's is the billboard fucking real?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a machine. Social media is a machine. People post whatever they want on it. It's not a fucking. Some people do it. Even then, even if you are on social media every single day, you are still presenting something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you choose. There is an agenda always to what you present.
Yeah.
So it still astounds me that people are like, social media is so fake. Well, what do you think it was?
Yeah. I think it's
and fake to what? What is fake? What do you mean it's fake?
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's just more so than maybe when it first came out. I guess now everyone's posts are so curated, whereas back in the day, when it first came out, you did kind of literally...
Because we didn't know any better.
We didn't know any better. Yeah, it wasn't like a business per se back then. It was you literally just took a photo of whatever to post the photo, and used Instagram's shitty filters and didn't put too much thought into it.
Lux filter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say people still to this very fucking day, it's been like 10 years since Facebook's been on, people are still saying social media is fake. Like, your perception is fake. You've got a diluted perception on what social media is. Yeah. Onwards. Social media is fake. What the fuck? Did you think it was real?
Are we cracking on with...
Yeah, crack on with 2. Yeah, cool.
In level 3 reflection, in one word, how would you describe our conversation?
Today? Well, right now, I assume so, eh?
Yep.
It's been good. Again, just going back to like what we wanted to present. I know that there were maybe in my head, I was like, how deep do I really want to go? And I think I felt as deep as I wanted to go today.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I've always got this thing. Once you post something on the internet, it's there now. It's no longer yours. You've opened it up to scrutiny, to judgment. And I'm a pretty vulnerable and open dude, right? But also at the same time, transparency is important, especially when it comes to building a brand, building a personal brand. You know, I want my brand to be as authentically me as possible. You know, I want to be able to go out to the bar and people are like, oh, there's Moen having a drink. It's because because it's me.
Yeah.
I'm not vulnerable to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, And just some of the questions, of course, are deep. And it's the first time I'm doing it. I don't know. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say. Yeah. That you're wanting to be, as transparent and open as you can, yet at the same time mindful of whatever you say is out there for good.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, sorry to answer the question. I think the conversation's been good. It's been good based on the agenda, which was to be transparent. But also at the same time, like, I did a podcast the other week and it turned almost into a therapy session. And she said, I'm not going to put all of that on there because you don't owe the world that. And I was like, because I was like to her, I don't care, put it out. Put it out, like, it's all good. I'm an open book, I'm transparent. I would have this conversation with anyone that asked me the same questions that you've said. But kudos to her, you know, she was like, okay, that's great, it's all courageous and whatnot. But also at the same time, you don't owe my listeners, your listeners, any of this. Yeah. So, there's some things. Yeah, you can be. I think you can still be selective as to how much you want to share about something. Yeah. Even though some people may see that as then you're not being transparent if you're selective as to how much you open up or talk about. But I think there's utility in keeping things private. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Definitely. There are things that I've done on this podcast I've never said before, which isn't. Because what comes up in my own head is I ask myself, what benefit would this be to anyone? Even if I am transparent about the most vulnerable things in my life, what are people going to do with that information? As in, like, that's not going to help anyone. Is it? I don't know. I don't think so. In my head, for the things that I have kept in my own heart, in my own mind, I just don't feel it would be of benefit to anyone because this podcast is about practical positivity. This ain't a therapy session. Yeah. So it's not Marlon's going to bring out his feelings. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think if there comes a time where there could be an impact of that type of conversation, I'm open to it. Yeah. That's sometimes I think it doesn't. There might not be a practical step in everything, but I think sometimes it's just more the relatability. Sometimes to some people can just be like, oh wow, feels. Yeah. So how do you? So my question then is, when do you cross that line then? Would you just fully put your words out onto the podcast? You know, your heart out, just for the sake of relatability? No, I guess it would depend on what the topic was and what we were talking about, or if there'd been questions about it, or if, you know, wouldn't just be like, oh, hey guys, we're going to talk about this traumatic experience I went through, just for the sake of it. Just it might relate to some of you guys. Yeah, exactly, right? There's got to be, again, an agenda behind it. Yeah. A reason to sort of delve that deep. Yeah, and I think that's where impact really happens. Otherwise, you're just saying shit for the sake of what? Yeah. Because sometimes, I read just irrelevant captions. Yeah. And did you just, why are we talking about this and shit like that? Like, it just came out of so left field. Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes it's just, and that's where it lacks context. Like, someone needs to probably give context and be like, I was having this chat with a friend today and we discussed this, or today I saw this post and it made me think about blah, 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 or I just read this article and it's, versus just being like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, why are we talking about this? But then again, do people have to always give context? I think context is always helpful for other people, but like, there's nothing on Instagram that says you have to give context in your caption. Oh yeah, social media is contextless most of the time, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But I like to use a lack of context as the art form of it, because especially when coming from a personal training field, you just put out your strategies, but at the end of the day, they don't have context on where that strategy best fits and for what type of person. Yeah. So I'll put out all my strategies on Instagram. I'll give them all out for free. But at the end of the day, even though, like a chef, if I give you all the ingredients, you still don't know how to cook. Yeah. And that's why I give out all my stuff for free, because you don't know how to use those strategies like the way I do. Yeah. That's why I'm not vulnerable to that. Yeah. I'm not vulnerable to giving all my advice out for free. I'm not vulnerable to that. Because at the end of the day, you don't know how to cook it the way I know how to cook it. Yeah, true. Number 3. When in this game did you feel most connected to me? Answer truthfully.
I haven't. No. Most connected. I'm trying to reflect on some of the questions. I've felt connected to you throughout the whole thing.
That's good. For me, because we've got a relationship obviously outside of this podcast, I feel, if I'm just talking about in this game, probably when we've been going back and forth about different ideas around, for example, social media, but I'm very aware that there is a camera right in front of us and we're being recorded. So if I was doing it in comparison to our normal relationships outside of it, when did this, I felt most connected to you and the camera. It's not just you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next.
What am I most qualified to give advice about?
Physiotherapy. Musculoskeletal advice.
Correct. Tick, tick. Wow, you know me so well.
That was easy. How would you describe me to a stranger? That's a good question. Let's say I'm a stranger. Oh shit. Let's say I just almost split the bottle. How would you, let's say I'm a stranger. How would you, who's that Marlon Celerio guy? Let's do this both for each other.
Okay. Who's that Marlon Celerio guy? Well, if they wanted to know the boring, like, oh, he's a PT, he's an actor, he's a content creator. But I would say he's very driven, ambitious, confident because he knows what he wants, and yeah.
Cool.
That would be...
Thank you, I'm flattered. Sinead Beerman is a health practitioner who is very detailed oriented. Does that make sense? She's good with details. Good with details, a good technician, as in she knows how to make the small things work. And she loves to have fun. She's witty. And she should double down on her wittiness. Okay. It's your turn.
What about me most surprised you?
I think when we first met, it was your wit. Yeah, you're very, very funny. You're very fast with your responses. And they were they were just witty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I saying that about you?
Yeah, sure. What about
me? What surprised you? Yeah, I think your passion for self-development and deep combos and the way you sort of think. I was a bit surprised. Like I said, from first impression being like,
you think
Mr.
I was
Cool
shallow.
Dude, blah, blah, blah. I was like, so yeah, the fact that you were very...
whole package.
Yeah. Just tick all the boxes.
I'm so passionate about self-development. But I think, I should say this is a good time to say this now. I love getting information. I love self-development. But there has come a time where you must take all that information and practically use it and, in a sense, slow down your information intake.
Yeah, hard.
You gotta, otherwise, if you don't apply the information that you've absorbed, and I've had to have this conversation with myself before. If you don't apply the information you absorbed, you don't actually know it. You're just regurgitating information. You gotta take the info, apply it in 1,000 different scenarios until it becomes almost habitual to you, or you've found out your own philosophy around that.
That's what I find with those kind of like book challenges where people are like, oh, I'm doing a challenge to like read a book a week or things like that. I just kind of think, for what? To get to the end of the year and be like, oh, I've read 52 books. I think awesome. But what I think I love from books is, again, it's like you're learning. and like you said, if you've learnt, cool, these are my 5 takeouts from this book, how are you giving yourself the chance to actually apply that? Same with podcasts, all those kind of things. If you're boom, you're straight on to the next book. You've put that book down and you're like, yep, that was interesting. I learned this and this, on to the next one. I'm sure if I asked you in a month's time, okay, tell me about that book, what did you learn again? You'd probably forget, versus if you're like, oh, I learned this, this and this, and this is how I'm applying it in my life day to day. Well, same with the podcast. If you're trying to average, I try and get through 5 podcasts a week, I think, how are you applying what you're learning from them? Unless it is just like a story or it's a podcast where they just kind of talk shit. But I think if they're ones with learnings in there, then yeah, I think
you got to give yourself experience and time to actually unpack an idea. You know, whether that's from a podcast, a book, or a conversation. It takes time and experience to unpack those things. Because how many times have you read a book and someone's like, oh, what's that about? And you're like, I actually don't remember. I just know it was good. You know? And they're those kind of books that sometimes you need to read again to be like, oh, that's right, these were the takeouts, and how can I apply that? Like recently I haven't been listening to new podcasts. I've been on the same channels re-listening to old ones, and I take out more golden nuggets, you know? Because when you go to, I remember an old coach of mine said, I've done this course 5 times because the first time the statistics were like you only intake like 20%, then you get 30%, you know? That's why he did it over and over and over again, because he was getting new information that he didn't get the first time. And because in between each time of doing the course, he had more lived experience on the tasks. So then he could pick up other things that he would have brushed past his head. You know? So I'm not always fucking intaking information. I'm intaking the same information differently. And I think that's so important. Don't talk. Otherwise you're just regurgitating info and not actually lived it.
Screw your book challenges. Just read at your own pace.
I've got like 3 books that I've read like a few pages on, and just a chapter, and now I'm just like thinking about it. You know? I appreciate a lot of people. I get a lot of messages now of people recommending me books, and I'm like, fuck. I won't get to that for like a year.
Same. I've got about 5, 6 new books that I've got, and then to have a book list of books I want to order, and I'm like, well, I should probably read the 6 new ones I haven't touched yet before I buy more.
There's this billionaire Naval, I forgot his last name, and he said that he has lots of books around the house, but he'll just read like a page and then close it. You got to be ready for a book. You can't force yourself to read. You know.
And that's why I think a few of the books that I've got that I know I would have to be very ready for, and be in that sort of right headspace, that it's not just like a fiction read where you're just kind of reading a story, that they're kind of very demanding of you being like, boom, put in the time and the effort to apply this knowledge that you're learning right now. They kind of keep you quite honest and accountable.
And you don't have to read books to develop yourself, you know? If you're better off with visual videos, that's fine too. If you're better with audio, like audiobooks and podcasts, that's fine too. You know? As long as you're filling that void of, if you're thirsty for information and development, find a way that you enjoy. But if you do want to get into books, a lot of people try to force themselves into reading books they don't actually like, and just like any other habit, it's not the best way to start. Isaac John said, read what you love before you learn to love to read. And that's such a good, you know, such a good entry way into reading. Don't force yourself into things that
was me, I think. Like, obviously high school, you only read what's part of your curriculum, and you get told that you have to read. So I think most of the time I hated reading. And then like throughout uni, the only reading I would do would be research articles that we had to, that were compulsory type thing. And I always had friends that just like froth reading. I'm like, how can you be bothered reading, so boring? Because my idea of reading was reading research articles. And it wasn't until, one day I got a book that I actually enjoyed, and I was like, oh, reading's fun. If you find a book that you actually interests you, that like it's a topic that you're interested on, or a fiction that makes you feel like you're watching a movie, and and then I was like, oh no, all those years wasted that I could have been reading. Okay,
I reckon let's do one more.
I think.
Oh, is it my turn, is it?
Oh, was it? No. No, yeah, it was your turn.
What would be the perfect gift for me?
Ooh. A tattoo voucher, so you can get phone, wallet, keys, tattooed on your hand. No, you would like an experience. You would like just something. Oh. Yeah.
You don't know me. You don't know. Yeah, the first thing that came into my mind was all expenses paid travel around the world.
Yeah, well,
yeah. No,
that's what I mean. Some sort of travel or experience, whether it's like not necessarily. I don't know. You probably wouldn't bungee or skydive. Wouldn't be your. Not to that extreme, but like helicopter ride, hot air balloon thing, or something like that.
My dream, I used to visualize as a kid, was to go to Turkey, because you see these videos in a hot air balloon, and just over the olden, the old kind of landscape.
Yeah.
Fuck, that looks amazing.
I saw came up in my feed the other day, the ballooning in Canterbury region, like Christchurch way.
Yeah,
it looked pretty epic.
Yeah. Scary times, I think.
Penny.
Is that? How much is that?
It was like $400 per adult.
Oh, yeah, that's a plane ride.
Yeah.
It's a scenic plane ride, so it's normal. But the only thing with the hot air balloon is that if something fucks out, you're dead.
Yeah.
That is so fun. I think that's the adrenaline part of it, knowing that you're just in a basket.
Yeah. The same with skydiving.
Yeah.
Etc.
Okay, last one.
Wildcards. Swap a song suggestion your partner may
Next.
enjoy. Yeah, that's yawn.
Broke the rules there, but I won't. Finish on a high.
Ooh. Okay. How does one earn your vulnerability? Have I earned it? How can I earn more?
Oh, shit. Okay, say that again.
How does one earn your vulnerability? Have I earned it? How can I earn more?
First of all, earn my vulnerability to get me deeper than what I normally am, which I already consider to be quite deep, is to show your vulnerability. And I think as just personally between me and you, yeah. You've done that. But yeah, with anyone, I'm normally the one that leads the dance in vulnerability. I'm vulnerable and people are vulnerable towards me, and I'm able to open that space for people. But I'm the same. Like, let's say that space is now all even, but if someone shows me a deeper level of vulnerability, I'm like, I'm going there with you.
Yeah.
With the intention, knowing that I want to provide a space where we can both be in that.
Yeah.
People can feel like they're themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be somewhat reciprocated.
That's my top agenda.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, epic.
Awesome. What a game. What is your reflection on the game?
Yeah, cool. It'd be good to properly read through the rules, how it's supposed to be done, but I think either way it's still
I think that's
a good game to play with your mates, your family.
It's a relationship building exercise.
Yeah.
You know what would be cool? If we bought this with every one of our future guests and just be like, all right, we're all going to pick out a random card. And that just opens that.
The icebreaker.
Yeah, the icebreaker, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's cool, I reckon.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep
it in your bag, yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep this in my bag.
Sweet.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for popping into this episode of the High Frequency Club featuring We're Not Really Strangers. This is not an ad. I bought this. They don't even know me. So,
maybe after this, who knows? Don't forget, as always, check us out at the High Frequency Club. If you're not already following along, subscribe on YouTube. What are you doing?
This says on the inside, it says inside we're all the same.
Oh, bless.
So fucking true.
So true. Listen in. Always let us know your thoughts. And we'll see you next time.
Oh, let's just pop in we've got some amazing guests coming up.
We do, which they will know about when it happens. So I'll just say stay tuned.
Okay, sweet.
That's why you've got to subscribe and follow so that you're in the know with who's coming.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, see you later.